So today I'm going to show you how I made this cute Jack-O-Lantern spider pumpkin. I really hope you enjoy this, and if you do, please don't forget to hit that thumbs up and give this a like, and if you want to see more like this, please hit that subscribe. I do really appreciate your support, and also don't forget, if you want to connect with me on these, then please drop me a comment in the comments below and share this video with anyone else you think might like it. Now I'm going to show you what you need and how I made this. Hope you enjoy. So to make our Jack-O-Lantern spider, I've got 1.5 pipe cleaners. I've got my core wool. I've got some black wool, my orange wool, selection of needles, obviously some scissors, and then I've got my purple and green wools as well, just in case I decide to add on any little extra details. So I'm going to start by cutting down my pipe cleaners. So just fold, well, one of them's already the half that I had left from the bat. So now I have my 6 pipe cleaners, and I'm going to put those all together, and then I'm just going to find the middle point for these, which is about there, and then just twist those round. Don't worry if there's some slightly longer than the others, we can trim those up. But next up, I'm grabbing my 4 grams of core wool. I'm just going to place all that off to the side, break some of this off, and then I'm going to start by wrapping this round in bits in between the legs, and then just securing those into place. Obviously, again, be careful of your needle on your pipe cleaners, because obviously they've got metal in them and you don't want to break your needle. Once that's felted in, I'm just going to go between the next 2 legs. And all I'm going to do now is I'm going to wrap some around the middle here, because this is where we're going to want to create our biggest gap, and then I'm just going to build up the core wool on this to create a round ball. Okay, so now I've covered my pipe cleaner legs and got my core wool ball in the middle. I'm quite happy with the shape of that. I have tried to make sure that the legs are further to the bottom of my pumpkin shape rather than in the middle. Next up, I'm going to cover my legs. So to felt the legs, we're going to grab a bit of our black wool, one of the legs, and just wrap this round, pulling it nice and tight, and then once you feel like it's starting to attach, just roll it round in your fingers until you get to the end, and then just pull off the excess. Go back round, and then just use your needle to felt that onto the pipe cleaner. You can felt the end part into the core wool, just pushing it in. And if you've got a smaller block, you might find it easier to just go over them while they're resting on that. And once that's covered, don't worry if it's still a bit fluffy, because we'll neaten it up later. But once that's covered, we're just going to go around and do all the others. Okay, so now I've covered all of my legs. Don't worry if they're not all exactly even and they're still a bit fluffy. The most important part at this point is just to make sure that they're covered. Next up, I'm going to grab some of my orange wool, and I'm going to start from the underneath and just place some there and felt this on just to hold it into place. And then I'm going to sort of keep it fairly smooth and then wrap it round just in between the legs, bringing it back, bringing the end back to the underneath part, and then I'm just going to go round and just felt this lightly into place. And all I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go round and cover the whole pumpkin in orange, filling in any gaps because you don't want to see any core wall, and if there's any bits that you feel need building up, now's the time to do them. Once you've covered your pumpkin all in the orange and you're happy with the shape of it, next up we're going to put in our grooves. So to put in our grooves, I'm going to find the middle point of my pumpkin and just poke my needle in there to create some sort of indentation. And just going to do straight up and down needle movements to create an indentation. And I'm going to work my way out to the sides first, so to the middle legs. We're not going to go right the way round. I will probably just work my way down to the leg for now. And then once you've got a clear line, we'll go round to the other side, doing exactly the same. So I've got my shape there, and I'm going to split each of these halves into 3 sections. So I'm going to start from my middle point and work down to this leg, and start from my middle point and work down to this leg. And then on the back, start from there, work down to that one, and the same on that leg, just to create the indentation at the moment. Now I've got all my guides for my indentations, I'm going to turn this round and follow the lines round. So now I've got all my indentations in my pumpkin. All I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go over these to really create some definition like I did on the other ones. So now we've got all of our nice grooves, indentations for the pumpkin. Next up, it's time to put a face on. So I'm going to decide, as I did on my previous tutorials, I'm going to use other needles that I've got to try and position where I want the eyes to go. Now I'm happy with those. I'm just going to grab my other needle and I'm just going to create an indentation around these needles to mark that space. Take that one out now, I can see where it is. And then I'm going to try and create a little triangle shape for the eyes on this. And then I'm just going to do exactly the same on the other eye. And then I'm going to grab some of my black, just a little bit, roll it up. Oh, that's a bit much actually. Grab a little bit less, roll that up in my fingers, pop that in the eye, and then I'm just going to grab my smaller spiral needle and start to poke this in, trying to create or stick with the triangle shape. And then do exactly the same with the other eye. Pop that in there. And then once you're happy, next I'm going to move on to the mouth. I'm going to grab some of my black wool, just roll that between my fingers to create a long piece like that. And then I'm going to use my needles to again just try and position where I want the mouth to go, or to start and end. And then I'm going to remove one of the needles and just poke this in and go round. take out the other needle and then just poke that in at the other end. And then I'm going to get some little pieces and I'm just going to try and create a few little teeth marks going around. So just pull off a little piece, roll it between your fingers, position it where you think you want it to go. Just going to add a little bit more to that tooth on the end. And then once you're happy with your face and the positioning of everything, next up, we're going to pop on a hat. Now, let's pop that off to the side. I'm going to grab some of my black, roll this up and then in half. That looks about right. I feel like my spider should have a top hat. So rolled up my wool and then I'm just folding it in half. Again, I'm going to leave the end unfelted and then I'm going to grab my needle and just start felting this round. I want to create a flat bit on the top. And on the top, just poke that down. Just be careful of your fingers. You have got to be careful because on black and white wool, if you've got any other colour wools on your mat, then it's going to pick them up. So I'm just going to grab my cleaning tool and then I'm just going to try and take those off, any loose fibres. Hopefully that'll be better now and the black won't pick up as many. So I need that to be a little bit bigger. So I'm going to grab some, or a bit thicker. So I'm going to grab some more of my black and just roll this round. I'm going to felt that on. And then just keep checking it for size against your pumpkin. Now you need to also decide, I think I might even do mine so it sets off to the side rather than sitting on top. So once you're happy with the size of your hat, next up we're going to work on our brim. So I'm just going to flatten that out and then I'm going to grab my needle and just work my way out to the outside, going round. And then I'm going to grab a bit more and just grab a bit more and then just fill in. Like I can see that it's obviously a lot thicker here than it is round here. So you just need to start building that up by adding in bits. And then once you've checked the size of it all the way round and you think you're pretty much happy with it, then again just check it. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that brim size. I'm just going to go round with my finer needle, just poking the outside bits in. Just going round to give it a little squeeze to pop it into shape. And now I'm just going to tweak this a little bit more. I want this a bit straighter around the bottom. I feel like it's going out in a bucket shape more and I want it more straight, in a straight line from bottom to the top. I'm not too worried about the height because once I've felt this on, I'm going to put, yeah, I'm happier with that. So if it's still a bit fluffy around the edges, you can just trim it off. Grab your scissors, just go around, give it a little trim. And then decide where you want it to sit, pop it into place. So I'm going about there. Hold it, I've just got it either side on the brim with my nails and I'm going to grab my needle and I'm going to felt down through the top of the hat, going right through the hat into the pumpkin. Now that has attached. I'm going to grab my finer needle and I'm just going to go round the base of the hat. Again, going through the very brim, poking down and into the pumpkin. I'm happy that that's attached. So next up, I've grabbed some of my purple, possibly a bit much. Separate that. And then I'm going to put a little trim round the hat, like so. So all I'm going to do is I've just twisted this. I don't want it too thick. Start at the back. Use my needle to just press that in to round the brim. And then once that's the end is attached, just going to keep twisting and sit that round. And then go round and use my needle to just lightly felt it onto the hat and in place. I'm going to trim off the excess that I've got there. Push it all in. So to finish this off, I'm going to make a little purple bow, I think, to go on here. I'm going to grab a piece of my purple, find my middle point, fold in the end into the middle and felt that in. Do the same with the other side. And actually where that's a bit thinner, I'll just fold that back out again to peel it, oops, peel it off, turn it over. A bit thin that side. If you feel like it is a bit thin, you can always just add some more in, which I'm going to do. And then once, check your size. I'm quite happy with the size of that. I'm just going to grab a little bit of my green. And place that through the middle. Turn it over. Just wrapping the excess round again. Again, check your size. Now I'm quite happy with the size of that. I'll just give it a quick once over with my needle because it is a little bit fluffy in places. Turn it over and then I'm just going to grab my scissors and trim off some of the fluff. Once you're happy with your bow, you've just got to decide where you want it to sit. I don't know if I want it there or if I want it over there. I'm feeling actually I think it should be more over to the side, so I'm going to grab my finer needle and just push it through. And then once you're happy that's attached, you can either tweak your legs now to finish it off. If you've got any fluffy bits or you're not happy, I mean, if you're not happy with the length of some of them, like I've got a bit of my pipe cleaner actually poking through there, so I am just gonna trim that off. And then I'm going to just use my needle to go round, poking the fluffy bits in. Just decide where you want your legs to bend as well, if you want them like shorter and then longer, which I think I might. And then just continue going around, felting in the fluff. And then obviously you can just trim off any excess bits of fluff as well with your scissors. And there you go. Once you've got your legs all trimmed up so they're not too fluffy, and you've got your hat attached and your bow, You can either finish it there, or I've actually just got a little bit of a green curl, and I'm just going to decide where I want that, about there, and then grab my needle and just poke that in to attach it. And there you go, that is our Jack-O-Lantern spider pumpkin all finished. I'm really pleased with this again. In fact, I'm really pleased with all three of these. And there we go, there's the full set. I am really pleased with the way these turned out. If you like this, I'd really appreciate it if you can give a thumbs up and hit the like if you haven't already, and hit subscribe if you want to see more like this. And let me know in the comments below if you made them and how you got on with them. So I'm just going to link to the playlist that these are all in, all three of these, and anything else that I think that you might be interested in. Thank you.